All right, welcome back to another episode of Composites Weekly. Today, I'm happy to have Derek DeGeest. He is the president of DeGeest Corporation, and Derek and I we were planning to talk out at CAMX a couple of weeks ago, and just didn't get the opportunity with everything that was going on. So I'm excited. We made plans, and Derek is joining me on the show today. Just to give you a little background, DeGeest is a leading resource for manufacturers looking for excellence in steelworks, automation, finishing, and They've been helping manufacturers solve problems since 1976. So this is a family company, and I am glad to have Derek joining me on the show today to talk about some of the work that they're doing in automation. Specifically as it relates to, we had Drew Simmons on, out at CAMX, and we touched briefly on the work they're doing with Lesta and some of the automation with gel coat systems and spraying. I think we're going to get a little more into the detail today with Derek. And so I'm excited about this. He's going to be talking about this technology as well as some other technology that's going to benefit manufacturers out there. So Derek, thanks for spending some time with me on the podcast today.
Yeah, Jonathan, thank you so much for the intro and for the opportunity to talk to the composites industry. We are jacked up excited. We're ready. Like we brought technologies that we're using ourselves, and we're sharing it with other manufacturers. And we started in the metals world. This is where our third generation family started.
Right.
And then we got pulled into how soon can we get into the furniture, cabinet, and door industry. So we're moving into that. And we've developed solutions for them. And now it was time to move to composites. We dabbled for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And now we're ready to bring these proven solutions from Europe to the composite industry. And we're just really excited to be able to take the model that we've done and proven for the other industries and now bring it to the composite side.
It's so needed too. I listened to because Derek's got a podcast too that he does, and we'll talk a little more about that.
Stronger standard.
Yes. Fantastic show. I listened to the interview that you did with Drew, and really completely agree with everything in terms of, even in our industry, the need for automation. And, automation's not a new topic to our industry by any means, but obviously the approach that we're taking now with new technologies is, and we'll touch on that. Before we get started,
one thing I do want to say, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but yeah. For your listeners, do not tune out when you hear automation, because that's the standard typical thing. We're like, well, that's not for me, or I'm not big enough, or all of these things. Throw it all out the window. What we're going to talk about today, totally different. If you have production people that do it all day long, you should be listening to what we have to say. And it doesn't even have to be a robot. We brought technology from Europe that can help you today with your manual application, spraying with the manual equipment. Don't have to change anything, and we can help you. And then help develop a plan to see if there's other robots or automation or things that could be next.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're spot on. People hear automation, they think programming, they think a lot of complicated stuff, but this is completely different. And when we start talking about that, I think people are going to be blown away. Real quick though, before we get into the topic and talking about the background of DeGeest, that I'm pronouncing that right, DeGeest?
Yeah, DeGeest. Yep, you're doing great.
All right. Real quick, I'm going to make sure that we're not on.
Am I lagging?
Not on Wi-Fi. Yeah, and I just noticed my laptop was by default was set to Wi-Fi, so I hit it. I switched over to DSL connection.
Okay, I have been having a little bit of internet trouble here.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Well, we can't get away from internet trouble.
Here's the other thing I love about StreamYard, Derek, is that it records on separate platforms. So not only does it record the conversation that we're having online, it records on your end and my end, just in case there's some technical issues. So you can download the separate recordings and combine them later. So
all right, because what I'm saying is not matching the video. lag.
Oh yeah, there's a little bit of a lag. Well, it seems pretty clear on my end,
Okay,
so
good.
so I'm sure it'll be clear. Okay, so I'm bringing this picture up. You sent me this. We were texting back and forth last week. This is cool for our listeners who are watching on video. There's a picture right here. Derek is with Mike Rowe, and I assume is this Mike's who's
That's
significant?
my wife.
Oh wow. Okay. Well,
Yeah. Well,
beautiful,
wow. What is that
beautiful
supposed
lady.
to mean? I'm married up. Oh wow.
No, I was like, I didn't know. So I mean, you've done super well.
I
You've
know, bless. She's super smart. She's our director of marketing and media relations, and she's
awesome.
launched our global brand for Lesta, self-learning
Yeah,
robots, and DeGeest. And she's just as smart as she is beautiful. But that's mine.
that's
That's
awesome, man.
Alicia. And in the middle,
You've
that's Mike.
you've
That's Mike
it's
Rowe.
like it's like what I tell people. You know, sometimes you outkick your coverage, and
Yeah.
you know, so we do that sometimes as guys. We don't know how we did it, but
Hey, that's right.
congratulations.
Believe in it. Believe in it until you make it happen.
So give us some background of the story with Mike Rowe. This is really cool because this was taking place last week, right?
Yeah, I was with them. We were with them for 2 days.
Okay.
I've been on what we have called a Build Dakota board in South Dakota, where we came together 10 years ago, and we created a ways to build to help bring skilled trades jobs to South Dakota to make sure we have people to working in South Dakota. And we went with private industry matched by the state. And then we're offering full ride scholarships to any skilled technical school career that is in need in South Dakota. And we've now since given out over $40 million in scholarships, full ride scholarships. We have over 600 companies that have done matches with students. And we're filling and bridging the skills gap here in South Dakota. And Mike Rowe came 6 years ago to be able to see how the program is going, and came back at our 10-year anniversary of this to tour all 4 technical schools with our board for the Build Dakota, and to celebrate the success that South Dakota's had in filling the technical school, the trades, and promoting the opportunities with the skills trades.
That is too cool. That is awesome, man.
He is so cool. Mike Rowe has just been a great proponent. He was so moved 6 years ago about what we had started that he opened up a Mike Rowe Works. They call it the Rowe Works Foundation Scholarship, and has given $12 million to the South Dakota Technical School scholarships as well.
That is amazing.
He's just the coolest guy. And,
genuine guy. You were saying earlier, just genuine as can be, right?
Yeah, no, he is, and he loves the students. He loves meeting the kids, and he spoke to all 4 schools. I mean, at one of Lake Area Tech in Watertown, we had over 1,500 people come to ribbon cutting to open up our advanced manufacturing and business center at that technical college. And he spoke to the importance of saving America, and we have to keep jobs here, and that the way of no debt and finding a skill that you can go out and contribute and grow careers from, and where that could take you, was just a really neat story, empowering to those kids on what they're doing. And it's just really cool what's happening here in South Dakota.
Did most of those kids, they knew who Mike Rowe was? I mean, everybody's seen Dirty Jobs, right?
Yeah, I think anyone that has gone into the skills trade has seen that one. Like my kids now, like they didn't know who it was, but when we said the narrator of like the deep sea tuna fishing show or something.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
They're like, oh, that guy.
Yeah.
But most everyone we went to knew him, because if you're in the trades, you know who Mike Rowe is. Yeah. So it was.
Yeah. Cool. Got a very distinguishable voice for sure.
Oh yeah.
Well, listen, let's get started. Let's give us a little background on your company, DeGeest Corporation. And let's go back to, I mean, this is a family-owned family business, right?
Yeah, we've been in manufacturing now since 1976, going on 50 years. It was started by my grandpa. He was a welder in the Navy. Yeah. And when he got out of the Navy, he went to work for a manufacturing company in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and was a plant manager there, and eventually decided he didn't want to retire, but he didn't want to be in the big business. And he opened up a small shop in a garage stall in Sioux Falls with my grandma, and then my dad was the third employee after my grandma.
Wow.
And then we just slowly started growing. We had trailers, we had other ag equipment that we designed and built. And then a couple years later, that same company that he worked for called him and said, "Hey, you know our products? Will you help make some stuff for us?" And he said, "Sure." He was kind of getting tired of trade shows and sales, and then just started building parts, and that started working and kept getting more and more, and we just kept growing and became a full contract job shop for complex carbon steel weldments. So we would make a lot of stuff for utilities and ditch mowing equipment with tractors, and we made that type of equipment and kept growing. And then my dad continued to grow it. We opened and grew the business more and more. And then when I got to be old enough to be able to 12, when I could just, as soon as I could get in the door, I started working there, and I grew up in manufacturing. That's all I've known.
Yeah,
and I think
awesome.
that's really what makes us, our company, who we are, is because I grew up knowing the people that worked at our company. And then this, how do I make sure that we're going to be able to be around so I can offer the same thing to my kids as my grandpa, my dad did, to us. And so we have a very long view, which, as this family company, we can make sure that we're adapting. We're small enough to change quickly as well. And I just love this. I can't turn it off. I can't not think about these things. So how do I help do that? So I think at an earlier age, just for myself and then our company, we looked for ways to be able to multiply the efforts of our people, because we had very tenured staff. No one left. We treated people well, and they stayed. So how do I compete with higher priced labor versus lower price? And so we just were pushed to be able to find a way to be able to do that sooner. And so we started with software development in the front office, because what I saw, just back up a little bit, I would tour and I'd see other places, and they would feature a piece of equipment and be like, "Oh, look at this new technology, a new laser or something that moves really fast," and be great. It looks really cool. But then I look around and I see everything else, giant piles of whip and just stuff bottlenecked. And like, that's not, you made something faster to go sit into a pile. So did you really spend a lot of money, but not to be able to get something out the door?
Yeah.
So I really wanted to take a holistic look at how do I balance any investment in automation to be able to keep capacities so that they can continue to all grow. So we started at the front end, and we started with software development, front office. What used to take me 2 to 3 hours to build jobs, we digitized all of our work orders. We made our own software, so I could take what took me 2 hours, I could now do in minutes. And so we automated a lot of our front office and our work visualization. Then we invested in more fabrication, and then we invested in robotic welding and started getting into robotic welding, understanding robots. And then the last thing, we front office, fabricate, weld, and now we got to finish. So then, okay, we're going to go automate our finishing. Well, I went to look for automation for finishing, and everything I found was all the big ones: Yaskawa, ABB, Motoman, Fanuc, all of them said you have too many parts. You have thousands of different parts. You could never use automation. It would take too much time to program. And we were really was dejected. I had just really was not happy. I mean, we had momentum going. We had 50 years of complex robotic welding experience. We had offline fixture, engineering design, everything you'd need to be able to do it. And if we were told we couldn't do it, we said, how could anyone do it?
Yeah. Right.
And so we actually, our automation manager found Lesta 7 pages down on YouTube, and it was a self-learning robot. that just worked with the people.
Buried, right? Buried down.
It was because it was not here. And so we actually called him up and we said, "What is this?" So it's a robot that just guides, teaches, works with your painter. I mean, we don't have to do programming, and we've known from experience, you can't take a known skill or craft and then have someone that understands how to program computers successfully make programs not understanding the application you're doing. It just does not work very well. You end up having programmers point fingers and say it's the applications person's job to figure out, and the application guy say it's the robot guy. Everyone points fingers, no one owns it, and they sit in the corner. So so that was where we're like, okay, what is this? This can't be real. Seems too good to be true. I said it was 2016. We were going to go get another welding robot in Germany in the fall, and I said, we're going to be in Germany. We're in Europe, so we would like to come, take us to your customers, show us show us this. And they said, we'd love to show you. Come. He said, we've been thinking about wanting to come to the US. We just need a reason to come. We'd love to show you. So we went there in the fall of 2016, and what we were told was impossible was common practice in Europe. My eyes were completely opened to how far we are as a country behind in technology on all levels, because regulation and just has kicked things out. Things are developed in Europe. They're not developed here. They're developed in Europe, and they can rapidly continue to evolve. And there's generations upon generations of tips and tricks and processes and systems that have been put in place and passed down that makes what they're doing now, they're decades ahead of us. And I was upset and mad, and like also just super energized by the possibilities, because I saw what was possible. And I was like, we have to have this. We need this, because I can't add any more, keep investing more lasers and brake presses and fabrication equipment or robot welding if I can't automate paint. You're just going to create a bigger bottleneck. So we have to find a way to balance that. This was a solution that was from small 10-man shops to huge corporations were using self-learning robots, and just like natural. And it was just crazy. I mean, the head painter at one of our facilities that had 150 people working at this company was over in khakis having a cappuccino with me while the whole huge paint line was running. There's no one even by there. And it just, no programmers, just the painter. And their painter was having a cappuccino talking about how the system works. And it blew my mind. And I said, we got to do this. And so I said, we're going to partner with them. And actually, I was getting ready to fly home, and I said, we need to do this. We got to figure out. He said, okay, you go home, find someone in the North America that can sell paint equipment to get in touch with, and we'll get something started. And so I'm flying home, and in 2016, like we have been pushing and automating quite a bit. In 2016, we had no website, we had nothing to sell, and we weren't looking for customers. But we had over 600 people tour our company and see how we're using automation and what we're doing for our people. And I said, on the way home, I said to myself, someday we have to have something to sell. We're going to build something that's never been built before. A paint line as automated as any job shop in North America. People are going to want to come. I said that, and I thought, okay, I have an idea. Why don't we become the integrator for Lesta? So when I landed, I had this crazy idea. I called Emmanuel up, and I said, Emmanuel, he's the owner of Lesta. I said, I have this crazy idea. And he goes, what is it? I said, well, we're centrally located in North America. Mm-hmm. We have our software programming, offline, fixture design, in-house machine capabilities. We can build anything, and we know how to make robots run. How about you make us your integrator, and we'll help all of North America? And he goes, Derek, we love this crazy idea. So we partnered with him, and we opened up Lesta USA. It's a DBA of DeGeest. We are solely owned only by our family business, but we have full access rights to all software. We collaboratively R&D and build solutions together. We built our paint line. I could have a whole nother podcast on the catastrophe that was building our automated robotic paint line in a country that didn't know how to use self-learning robotic technology for general industry. They only are a whole continent that was focused and geared towards automotive, big lines, which is totally different than anyone that's listening to this podcast today, and of what we needed to use it for. Because we have liquid coating, epoxy primer, urethane top coats on very complex parts.
Sure.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different parts that we do. So we have to rapidly program parts quickly. Everything's got to go through one funnel. And we needed automation to be able to do it. And self-learning robots were the ticket for us.
Yeah, that's amazing. So how did the relationship with MVP come about, or the opportunity of working with them?
Well, we built our line. It took a year. We had to go through NRTL certification. So that's like the UL, you'd see on your certification. The rest of the world is under this ATEX. The whole world, and then Canada and the US has their own NRTL certification. So it took a year to get through that. We used our line, our robots to get through certification, and then launched our NRTL Canada and US approved robot solutions for the Lesta. to the industry at FabTech, which is North America's largest metal fabrication show, which was 3 months before COVID is when we launched.
Wow.
And so the timing was great. But in the end, it actually was, because we launched and they couldn't come back for 2 years. So the last time that they had come was when we put our system in, and now we're selling. We left FabTech with 300 companies that wanted me to go to their place to tell them how they could use it. I'm like, how am I going to cover the country? So we grew, as quick as we could, and we had to be self-sufficient, which helped us be even better at integrating and supporting our customers in the end. And so we just started traveling the country, getting them to different companies and other distributors that knew other companies. And so it just trickled from metal fab, liquid and powder shops, and then it moved into other finishing ones that also served in the wood industry and composite industry. And so composite companies found us because gel coat and chop was a solution that Lesta had. So we were focused on metal at the time, but there were companies calling us and wanted the solution. And so we kept bumping into MVP, and we told them we're focused on this. Let's start working. So we've been talking to MVP in the US now for probably 2 years, and started looking for some, initially talking to some potential companies, and we were planning to the launch of the composite industry, which we just did. And now we're ready. We're bringing these proven solutions from Europe. That's the thing, is that, man, this world, there's so many crazy technologies and things and AI, and the next thing right around the corner. As soon as you buy something, it's out of date and there's the next new thing. So you're worried about, like, when do I jump in? Like, what is the thing that I grab?
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people, including myself, I wrestle with that all the time. But then also, I don't want to be the guinea pig. Like, I don't want to be the first. Like, I can't. No one wants to be that. And that's really what Lesta is. It's a proven solution that's continuing to evolve using known solutions that people are using all over in Europe. They're the largest integrator of gel coat and chop in Europe, and they have systems everywhere, from giant ones like you're showing here for gel coat, for chop. They have full integrated solutions. They've been working with exclusively MVP Italia for over 2 decades. So you're taking known sets of what I didn't have when we built our line, is we have the proven equipment sets that work with the equipment in the Lesta sterile flowing robots, and they've made a customized HMI for gel coat and for chop, for all the nuances and the requests that these companies have had for the last 2 decades. Is built into known sensors and controls of the MVP equipment, ready for the operators to use to be able to adjust and make it continue to run on the day-to-day basis. This isn't just, here's a robot that sprays something, good luck. It's our goal was to take as much known knowledge and implant that into North America as possible.
Yeah, and to your point, it's going back where automation is not new to the industry in terms of the traditional side of robotics. Because I've seen this. I was with MVP many years ago, and you had operators or manufacturers out there integrating robotics into MVP. But as you said, this stuff didn't last long, because you were at the mercy of the programmers, and obviously there was a disconnect between programming and the operators out there. And there's a blame game that goes on when things don't go right or don't work accordingly. And so what ends up happening is eventually they can't get the support they need, and so the robot, this expensive piece of equipment, is basically just sitting there doing nothing, tying up space in the plant.
And you still need those finishers. You still need finishers. No one would ever get rid of a good finisher. So you still need them. And then now you have to go hire another robot programmer that knows how to program, when people are like, where am I going to find that? And then if I do, they're not going to want to go out in there and get in the stinky environment and get stuck to the floor and figure out how it works. They don't care. That's their other person's problem. And that's where the big rub comes from industrial typical robot offline programming. But there is benefits of offline as well. I mean, that's one of the really neat things that just came out with Lesta, is that you're not stuck with this technology either. So we just
Yeah.
brought out, now we do have offline programming capabilities. So we have the best of both worlds. You can use self-learning robots to teach your part in real time. The painter just takes it and you spray your part, every gun angle, every nuance, how you attack your part to make sure you don't get any sags, or if you make sure that you're hitting the parts and you get your fill in the corner before you build out. All those things are happening in real time that you can't know optimally offline, that you need to do that,
Yeah.
that mold or this part. All those things they know are getting put into the program, and then you save that knowledge of your best coder, and they can be in every booth or every shift, whether they're on need to go on vacation, their kid's sick, you name it,
Yeah.
or they get offered another buck to go across the street. That doesn't happen anymore. And
Right.
I tell people, after you put this in, they couldn't offer them enough money to go stay inside of a hood anymore and do it manually. Once people see the better way to do it, it changes. It's a complete paradigm shift of
Yeah.
you make a career out of a job. They won't go back to a job again. And I think that's a super cool thing. And so what I was going to say is, after you program that part, you can also take it offline and you can optimize it and use offline software to be able to optimize down the road. So that's something you could do down the road. You just save the knowledge of the people you have now. Get that. Once you have that, you future can optimize, you can tweak, you can continue to grow and adjust from there. It's cool.
Yeah, I've got this video, the YouTube video queued up of out at Camex, where you were with Composites World out there doing a demonstration. So I've got that playing in the background. Hopefully, I'm not violating any YouTube terms right now. If so, we'll pull it down later. But
I wouldn't be upset. You're showing our stuff.
But no, it's incredible. And what is the explain the technology, because you were just talking about it. Is this something that incorporates machine learning? That's learning.
It's not AI. It's not AI, and it's not autonomous generation. So it's not a cobot either. It's kind of taking an industrial robot and a cobot and putting them together. Except on a cobot, you're doing a lot of point to point. Your motors are always engaged, and there is actual resistance there.
Yeah.
On our self-learning robot, you disengage the motors, kind of like disengaging your clutch, and a counterbalance creates a weightless for the arm. It has no weight, so you can move it around super easy and simple. So it allows you to be able to, once you get used to holding it, you can just coat your part like you would in real time.
Sure.
And so when you're done programming it, all your nuance, gun angles, everything that you've done for your part, you then bring it back to your home position. You hit lock. You'll then relock all 6 of your motors, and it re-engages the clutch, and that allows it to be driven, and it runs like a standard industrial robot.
That's incredible.
And that's why it's so important, is you can rapidly program the part with the people that you already have. You actually create a career out of a job. You take your best painter, you pay them more, and now they take the knowledge, all the things that they've learned, they can now put it into the robot, and the robot, they don't feel like they're getting replaced. In fact, they're super excited because the robot now becomes an extension of themselves. So they see that as that. And so it's super neat to see. The first time we do it, and we go into every of our customers, we take their painter and we just have them grab the robot and start coding parts just with the robot. Just running it with the robot, not training it, teaching it, just coding until they get used to it. And then and then they're like, okay, record it. Let me get out of here. Then they record one and they come out and they sit there and they're like, wow. And then they watch it. And then almost every time they're like, that's not me. That's terrible. Look at the gun distance on that. I need to go back in there. Like, I'm too close right there. So then they go back in and they start to think, okay, what's my gun distance? I mean, I know how I want to attack this part, but I want to be more consistent. Yeah. And so they're their own worst critic.
Oh, that's great.
To do better quality.
They want to be a better teacher. They're trying to create a better scenario for the machine.
Yeah. Yeah. So you immediately get better quality just because their eye is to put their best part in their best program together. And you can so rapidly tweak and make it better. So like when we do big parts, you can break them up into sections. So you could teach side A, side B, top side, side C. And then if you watch it and you want to tweak it, you could tweak just side C. Or you get the whole program done and you find out you're light somewhere. You could go back in after, add another program of just a short little spray where you're light, come back, save it, flip the order like taking lines of Excel, move the last program to the top, run your light program, and then run the over program of the whole part. It's so flexible.
Yeah. That's incredible. I want to talk about another technology that we didn't mention at CAMX, and this is really interesting. I'm really excited about this. This is called the nitrotherm technology, which there's a lot of benefits to spray or gel coaters out there, but I'll let you talk a little bit about this technology and how it can benefit manufacturers.
You bet. So remember how I was talking before that I traveled Europe and I kept seeing technology and automation and just products that were not available in the US. And this was another one. In every robot application, nitrotherm was on liquid and polyfluid was on the powder side. It's from Eurocider. They're an Italian company, and they use nitrogen instead of compressed air. And compressed air, when used in any type of atomization as your carrier gas, has moisture, temperatures changing. You have molecular size of all of your different types of gas molecules, make a turbulent environment, and it makes it harder to be consistent. So the reason that we initially brought it to the US is that we launched it with automation because it eliminates variables. And when you add automation, you want to eliminate as many variables as possible to build them be more repeatable. And the side benefit of this, when you use nitrogen instead of compressed air, it allows you to be able to have the same temperature, no matter it's January or the middle of August, because it controls the temperature. And nitrogen is an inert gas that can hold no moisture. So it has a smaller molecular size. And so think of it as like rolling BBs down a tube. So it's so calm and the size is smaller, you can atomize at a finer level so you can reduce your spray pressures. You can control your pattern and your spray pattern easier. And then also with that, we have ionization in the composite world is fascinating because we can overcome and get rid of the static charge that's on your molds. So we get rid of the bounce effect. So it's almost like being an electrostatic on a mold with gel coat. The efficiencies are insane. It lays out better. I have some videos on our website, and we showed some videos of some applications, manual applications. Some people were blown away where you have clouds of gel coat and stuff going everywhere. When you put nitrotherm on, reduce your pressures, and control your atomization, your fan, there's no blowback. You're not getting it on yourself. You're not covered. We have people that take all their stuff off. I wouldn't recommend you're still supposed to wear a respirator, but people, you're not getting covered in gel. So.
Well, that's one of the biggest complaints is people have to wear the Tyvek suits, when these gel coaters and they're getting it all over themselves. And, you've got the overspray and, from a cost saving standpoint, you got more material going on the mold and the part itself than up in the air. And
your mill build gets more consistent. You can see what you're doing. A lot of them you're spraying, it's going everywhere. There's some of them in the molds, they're shutting their eyes and they're just spraying and hoping it gets in there. And now all of a sudden it's clean, it's clear, it's going right on the part and sticking. You can see what you're doing, gets more consistent. And so we've now relaunched, we've acquired a company, and we're bringing this technology to all applications.
Wow.
And this is really where we are coming with our proven path to automation. So again, we've developed a 5-step proven guide to be able to help companies work their way into automation. And this is their first step, is that eliminate variables in your manual equipment with the people you have today. And you're going to save, typically we see between about a 15 and 25% system savings, up to 30, depending on your gel coat. You usually save. We normally come in and we plug it in and we immediately drop your pressures by 20%.
Yeah.
And then we'll then optimize from there. So you're saving on your gel coat. You're putting, you're controlling that pattern. So you're putting, like you said, less into the filters, less on the floors. And that's allowing you to reduce your filter changes by about 3x. So maybe 3 weeks goes to 3 months. That's downtime weekends that no one wants to do. And so just huge benefit. Even if you reduce your pressures, your consumables go down. Wear out your tips as much. There's so many benefits that continue to happen. You're not going through suits and tear offs, and it's just easier.
Oh
better
yeah, I mean,
operators.
traditionally these guys, and it probably the same in the paint industry, but I know gel coaters love to crank up pressures, man, because they
More
think
and
that
more.
they're, they love to crank that thing up to 60 or 70 psi to make sure that they're getting. But if you watch them, you know, you know, it looks like half of that stuff is just going. They're
Yeah.
creating a big cloud in the process
Right.
of.
A lot of the worries of anyone listening to this would be like, well, my painter's not going to like that. I've never found one that doesn't like it. I mean,
Yeah.
we've got some stubborn ones,
Oh
that like,
sure.
I've been doing
Yeah.
this forever. This will never work. And
Yeah.
we've yet to be able to convert one. In the gel coat world, it's just an absolute slam dunk. And then by
Yeah.
eliminating that variables, helping even manual, gets our teams in there working with their systems. We get to understand their painters, what their production looks like, and then we help design what automation looks like for them. If robots are the next step, what would that look like? Here's some processes that we're going to improve. We help design, engineer, make an adapter for their carts, for their molds, whether they need to move or want to move to a continuous conveyor lines. We can help them with that. So we help develop the plan. And so even if it's not ready today, having a shovel ready plan going into the next year, the next knowing this is what I'd have to do, or this is the volume I need to get to, you have a shovel ready plan. So when the industry turns back on or the interest rate drops another quarter of a point, now everyone starts buying the toys again, you're ready, and
Absolutely.
it's not that scrambling. So.
Oh yeah, and you think about, you mentioned cost savings. What was the cost savings on paint or gel coat?
15 to 20%.
15 to 20%. I mean, in gel coat, you're looking at $3.25 a pound, and or $3.50 a pound or something like that.
Right.
That adds up. If you're going through,
huge.
Depending on the amount of gel coat that you go through, and I know some in the marine industry, and the applications such as wind turbines, these guys go through a serious amount of material on a regular basis.
We typically see about a 16 to 18 month ROI.
Yeah. Wow.
So
that's incredible. So I'm looking at the picture in front of me, and you're in front of looks like some type of control panel there. I mean, how does this integrate with the, from an MVP standpoint, for people that are familiar with their spray equipment? How does that integrate with their technology?
Perfectly, seamlessly. It just goes right outside your booth. So your compressed air, instead of going right into your guns from there, you just put it outside your booth. Compressed air goes into the unit. It filters everything out, and then a nitrogen hose will filter everything with nitrogen, and your nitrogen goes right out to your gun. You can use the same gun, same pumps. Nothing has to change. In fact, MVP is so excited about this. They're going to have a unit at their facility. They're going to be helping educate, and we're going to be teaching them how to do demos and installs. And we've got we already sold a unit today, and we've got already 2, 3, 4, 5 demo sites tests ready to go already, just from the first show. There's not going to be, I make a prediction, 2 years from now, there won't be a company spraying gel coat in production that doesn't have this. It just shouldn't be.
Yeah. It's a no-brainer when you think about it. I mean, it's science. A no-brainer.
it's science. It makes sense. It makes it easier. We have to do anything we can to make it easier for our people, because it's so hard to keep people. We can't find new ones. We need to use, I always say we need to use technology and automation to augment and make our people's jobs as easy as it can, because there's too many job options out there that all pay well. So if we use technology and automation to augment and make it easier for them to do their jobs, reduce the friction, make it easier for them to be successful, they stay engaged, and they get to enjoy what they do better. And then everybody wins.
Awesome. Derek, this is incredible, man. And you mentioned 12, on typical, I mean, not every smaller companies it may be a little longer, but like a 12-month ROI on something like this that companies are using.
6 to 18 months is the average on these systems, and for nitrotherm. And then once you move into the robot system, it depends on your project.
Yeah.
With all the things with automation, ROIs can be really good. They can also be very, very squishy. What's the cost of just being to worrying about fundamentally being able to produce? If you need to increase production, a lot of these places are going to be needing to double production once things turn on.
Right. Yeah.
When when unemployment rate is as low as it is, are people going to pick the composite or metal fab, just finishing as the career option that they want? You can get paid $18, $19 in McDonald's right now. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, I'm seeing it as, you know, as you mentioned earlier, the skills, gel coating and people that lay chop, you know, spray wise, that's a skill set. You just can't take a guy off the street and show him and him pick up a gun and be able to do this like within an hour. It takes time, and there's almost like, it's almost like an art to it. And you know, you're seeing less and less people that are, you know, willing to do that kind of work or get into it. You know, this is an area where, you know, you have somebody that leaves or retires. You've got something, and this isn't a threat, as you mentioned. You know, you're not replacing somebody. If anything, you're supplementing and you're helping make their job a whole lot easier. You know, in
one
the
of the
long
things
run.
that the mentality that we use at our shop, and I tell all of our teams, I said the average employment timeline in manufacturing, any manufacturing, is less than 2 years.
Yeah.
So our mentality is every production position within our company, we need to be able to make so that it can be scalable, so that knowing that that's going to happen. Our goal is that doesn't. But if we keep someone, they are most likely not going to be doing that same job. They're going to move up to another position.
Absolutely.
So that first job is not going to be that same person doing the same thing, or they're going to potentially leave. And so we always typically take one of your best people out of production to train your entry level person, because an entry level person without any technology, automation, or help is effectively useless, because they don't have any skills. They got to build the nuances of your parts, your equipment, your processes. So you take them out of production to do that. Statistically training your best people to train someone who statistically isn't going to be there in 2 years. So they train them, go back to work. Then less than 2 years, this person leaves or moves up. You go back to have to train the next person, and this person is aging. You said they're moving up into. So you're 2 or 3 training cycles away from losing that knowledge completely. I mean, so we look at it as use technology to save the knowledge, to be able to eliminate variables, make it easier for entry-level people to be successful. So if you eliminate things that it takes a very skilled person to overcome, I'm not saying you have to have nitrotherm to be able to spray gel coat. People are doing it all over the place, but it is harder. You got to understand the equipment. You got to understand how it lays out. There's things that you have to learn over time. And when you do, you can be successful. But if you put a brand new person that never sprayed gel in there, it's not going to be good. You're going to be throwing stuff away until they learn from their mistakes, right?
Yeah.
But if we can eliminate variables that make it harder to make mistakes, it makes it easier for them to be successful, which makes it more engaging and makes the cycle, there's a virtuous cycle that can be set up pretty quickly as well. And that's what we're passionate about doing at DeGeest. We've successfully done it in the metal, in the wood. We're coming to composites to be able to help them. And you know, the difference is we're an integrator that use what we sell in a production environment.
Yeah.
That is not, I don't know anyone else that does that. And our teams know what it takes to make things run in the day-to-day. In fact, if someone comes to buy a robot today, I don't let my CFO know, but I would say, no, I wouldn't sell you one until we make a plan, because if we put a robot in there today, you will fail. Because until automation, I don't want to scare them away, but it's the reality. If anyone doesn't tell you this, they're lying.
Yes.
Automation shows where your weaknesses are, and
it does
that your best
it highlights your deficiencies.
Right. Your best people can overcome these things. And automation is the same and consistent. So if you're inconsistent, things will give you inconsistent results. But there's these proven steps that we're doing with our customers that it's working. You know, half of all of our orders this last year are repeat orders. We'll have over 100 robots installed by the end of the year. And we know we can help. We've got the proven solutions. We've got a plan. We got equipment that can help the composite industry today. And we can provide them the solution to be able to keep their people longer, to save the knowledge that they have in their shop, and make it easier for entry-level people to be successful.
Yeah, no doubt. That's awesome. You know, and you go back to this nitrotherm, I'm thinking cost savings, you know, not just material alone, but one of the things that I see is overspray on equipment. And if you want to extend the longevity of your equipment, reducing the overspray. And sometimes, some manufacturers trying to, build shields around their equipment to keep them covered. But here's a simple solution that eliminates all of that completely, where you're probably not replacing those gaskets and seals and parts
Yeah.
on your equipment as often from the wear and tear.
No, that's a really good point. And we've actually had numerous companies completely justify it with an ROI of like a month, less than a month on quality rejects.
Yep.
There's a very large boat company that had a room that they would put the ones that needed rework. And they have a camera in there, and they'd see that in there. And then we came in and did our demo, and they rented a unit for a week, and they kept running production. And by the end of the week, the room that had all the rejected boats in was almost empty. And so, big company, it takes a while to get through each of the levels. The demo test was done. It went out, and they were driving home, and they got a call, and their whoever up started screaming to them, "What did you do? Where did that unit go?" Because the quality rejects had gone down to the point where then the next week it was filling up again. And so the quality,
bring it back.
Bring it back. That cannot leave, is what we were told. So the quality, the rejects can go down because there's so many benefits that's
incredible
to make it work. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
I love
really
it.
neat stuff.
Derek, I wish we had more time. We're going to have to do another follow-up podcast, man.
Let's do
it. I want you to mention real quick before we wrap up. I want you to plug your podcast. Where can people find it?
Yeah, so it's called Manufacturing a Stronger Standard.
Yep, I love it.
So Manufacturing a Stronger Standard podcast by DeGeest, and we talk about. We have nitrotherm on there. We have candid conversation with customers. I just interviewed our lead of our paint line. Just what's the day in the life of running Lester robots compared to when it was like before. Talk to other industry experts, like yourself, and we have a podcast I just did with Drew Simmons as well, talking about a partnership. We're the exclusive partners of MVP for gel coat equipment, and they are exclusively with Lesta. We've partnered in a big way, and the power of our companies coming together is gonna change the composite industry for North America.
Yeah. So for our listeners out there, if they're interested, do they need to go through their MVP? Start with that first, or then ultimately, I know you guys are working hand in hand.
We are. You can call your local rep from MVP. They're going to get you in touch with them, or reach out through here, and we'll get in touch with them. Either way, just start calling and make sure you get here, because it's gonna be a wild ride. We've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline, and we're growing our teams. We're going to be all over the place. We're going to be in your backyard. Hopefully we're going to be in your facility if you're listening.
It's exciting. Derek, it's been a pleasure, man. I look forward to doing it again. I definitely want to do this again, another podcast, because there's other things we can touch on. I know you're big on the the trades, obviously bringing education there and helping to fill that trades gap that we're seeing. And I think that technology is helping to bridge that gap in some degree. So, but there's a lot of conversation.
Making that a viable career option. It isn't the backup anymore. It's actually, the average student leaving a tech school in South Dakota is debt-free in less than 5 months.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well,
on average.
What a great pathway. Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome. So very cool. Make sure your listeners, follow us on LinkedIn.
Yep.
I would love to be able to connect you on there, show you some of the different things that we're doing, and hope to have our teams talking to you soon.
And that is DeGeest Corp.com is the website. For those of you that can't see it on the video, it's streaming down at the bottom. But for our listeners on the audio, it's DeGeestCorp.com to learn more. And we'll be posting links on our show page. We'll be posting links to the podcast, Derek's podcast, and also some of the videos. I mean, incredible stuff. Some of the video clips that we've just highlighted on this. Derek, it's been a pleasure. Thanks again, man. Looking forward to catching up again soon.
Yes, it's an honor. Thanks a lot, Jonathan. Appreciate being on your show, and we'll talk soon.